So now we'll be looking at a tier list, or rather I'll be making a tier list. This will take into consideration the changes that dropped yesterday, might be day before if I upload this a little bit later, but we're going to be going over the characters to kind of prepare you for the playtest that will be coming all the coming days. Now, starting off with Myth, having talked about this a little bit earlier, I feel like Myth overall is a very solid hunter. I feel like Myth is a character that can easily be described as jack of all trades, but master of none. I feel like Myth has a lot of great tools, being mentioned earlier with the disengage and the poke and the utility and etc. But I do think that she's not really a master of any of those. So I would be happy with just starting off Myth with an A tier. I feel like she does a lot of good stuff, but needs to be able to kind of get higher values to be able to get up to S tier, or meta kind of change a little bit to it. On the other side though, when we get over to Ghost did not get touched on this patch note. And last patch when we were able to test out Ghost, he's like super strong. Not only he's a very like simple character, it's not highly mechanical gameplay wise, but he has a lot of potential with the simplicity. You have a lot of playmaking potential with his setup, but the big thing that makes him in like an S+ tier is his damage output on LMB, which is disgustingly high, and I'm really surprised they actually didn't touch him at all. He's also going to be, there's going to be more people up here, we'll get through that, but like Ghost at the moment with just the pure damage stats value a lot and can burst down almost any hunter so far in Supervive. Now for Shrike in lower MMR is for sure like a super good character. You have the passive shot where if you hit one shot and then the second one while the mark is still on, you will be one-shotting a lot of hunters. Now, with the shot still being available, higher MMR players will respect it and back away, but it still applies a lot of pressure. So overall, I would for sure put her in S tier if this is like lower MMR for the newer players. If you're a new player, like the sniping thing, like Shrike is a really good character. For like in general, if I'm mixing both high and lower MMR, I would say overall she's an A tier and also above Myth, only because of the pressure and the damage output potential, needing to be able to back away. Now, there's a fair point being talking about her shots needing to load up. It's not that you're instantly shooting, but more so loading up, and you can play around catching her around the timers when she needs to do that. Now, Shiv is very interesting. Shiv got some pretty significant changes. Some of the Shiv mains will probably be able to go more in depth about Shiv. Shiv is like a playmaking hunter. There's a lot of potential. You can 1v4 squads with playing Shiv if you're mechanically good at her. Now, before I would probably have her like on a B8 tier, but from some of the changes we have looked at and what I've heard from other hunters, this might potentially be S tier. But for now, I'll keep it an high A tier because it's hard to see or know how will actually Shiv look on this patch with the changes. Will it be good? Will it be bad? We're not 100% sure, but I think this pushes her up a notch for sure. So I'll keep her high up for now. Kingpin. You can't sadly see his whole face. I would love to see his full face. You can see it on the top side up here. He's a lovely character. But Kingpin is a really fun character. The hook character, which means that you can easily get catches on people without needing to use too much resources. The hook is fairly easy to see. It can be hard to notice it in the start if you're a newer player, but when you're used to Kingpin, it's more about, okay, you can see this coming. But the other problem is also that in both cases, you can quickly get used to it and you can see it coming. But I do think that with the pressure and Kingpin overall, what you can do with the character is very solid. I do not think he's like bad or anything. I don't think he's super good. I would probably have him like above Myth, maybe a little bit under Shrike, but very solid character hunter overall. Now we get to Jewel. I'm just gonna put her instantly S tier. Jewel at the moment deals a lot of damage. The burst potential, the mobility, low cooldown shift ability, and being able to get out of tight spots, but also just 100 to 0 other hunters is very high. So Jewel on this patch is for sure going to be an S+ tier together with Ghost. They are probably the two strongest characters. I would also argue maybe like Jewel a little bit higher than Ghost, but not super high compared to the other characters, but they are S+ characters. Felix, I played a lot of Felix. This cute Firefox looking hunter, see what I did there, is really strong overall. The reason why I saw that Felix was strong is the combination of his damage output by still being able to go full tank. A lot of people will be going the movement speed items and some combination of the Omni Vamp and a little bit tankiness. What I, for example, do on Felix is I just run full tank Felix. You can soak a lot of damage being frontline, and with the double shift and the R, your mobility makes it easy to juke abilities, take attention from the enemy, but still, since you're so tanky, apply the burn damage multiple times to be able to deal a lot while you're still tanky. So I would for sure say that Felix is an A tier. I don't think Felix is in a spot where it'll be up with S+ tier, but the combination of being able to be very tanky and still dealing a lot of damage. I have had multiple games with my team where I'm taking the most damage, but at the same time dealing the most damage. So it makes him a very solid pick overall. Now, Bishop had a lot of interesting changes. I am not super familiar with Bishop, but having heard from my teammate who has played Bishop a while, seems like very good changes overall. Some other community members have also talked about the potential of her being up in S tier. This is the same kind of thing with Shiv, that I feel like it's hard to see exactly where they're going to put up. The safe thing is just putting Bishop in A tier. But I do believe with the changes, also with the kit compared to Shiv, that it can potentially be an S tier hunter this patch. The reason why I believe so is the value overall potentially with other compositions. I feel like Shiv overall has a very high potential if you're really good. Now Bishop is of course has a high skill ceiling, but not to the same degree as Shiv, I believe. So overall, if you look at the simplicity between if you're a lower MMR player or a higher MMR player, I think the potential of Bishop might be just slightly higher than Shiv. Now Brawl. Brawl gets a lot of hate in the community. He's a very frustrating hunter to play against, and he also got a lot of quality of life changes in the patch. I believe in general that melee characters kind of struggle in Supervive. It's kind of hard when you look at how team fights are going to be a melee character, but Brawl gets an upper edge with a lot of his mobility, being able to move around in the fights. Now, he did get buffs on his damage and some quality of life changes, which makes things a little bit smoother. I would not put him as high as S tier. I do think he's an A tier character overall. Probably with these changes might even be above Shiv. Probably something like this. Might have to look back to this, but a sorry character might be, I don't know, maybe these changes are like overtuning him and he might just be an S tier character, but for now also just being a melee character, he will be a high A tier for sure. On to Celeste. Celeste, if you have been in the playtests for a while, having show matches, you will see Celeste is a very, very popular character. Celeste brings a lot of utility and also being able to help the team with the zoning control, but also on this patch, getting some interesting nerfs with abilities being locked in animation depending on how long you hold it. Now, the feeling of how you play this character is going to be unsure about how it will actually be able to utilize in team fights, since we haven't been able to test it yet. But I do believe that she's going to be solid overall, probably high A tier, because I feel like she brings a lot to the team anyway, or maybe low S tier. But I'll put it high A tier at the moment. If you look at this compared to like a show match in competitive setting, she's an S+ character. 100%. But for now, I believe that Celeste is a high A tier. Potentially, if the changes doesn't feel that bad to play in team fights, might still be an S tier overall. Void. Void is a very fun hunter overall. I think Void in general is very strong, but he's niche. That means that in good positions where you have a comp built around what Void is good at, you know, the controlling aspect of the Hunter, I think Void has the potential to be high S tier with his kit and being able to play around it. But in most cases, you'll have a lot of, you know, new players. It's not going to be easy to maybe have all members on your team being able to have it, or maybe you're playing solo queue. So if you look at the value overall, I believe Void is really strong. I would probably put her together here on top of A tier, being very good at stopping, also probably like a very good counter to Brawl, which might be really strong this patch, but still countered by Void. And also the Void Celeste combo together, giving a lot of value. But I do think Void's power is strong overall. Might argue that it could be here and then switching up a bit. I could like switch all of these like kind of back and forward a little bit, but I'll keep it like this for now. Now, Aluna is a really fun character. We're now getting on to the Protectors. Now, the Protectors are not regular, say, supports overall. They deal damage, they have a lot of playmaking potential, and I think Aluna is the strongest of them overall. Now, Aluna got some changes, some nerfs to her heal, but talking with a lot of the Aluna mains, it seems like not many of them are really even maxing the heal. So the nerf on the level 3 rank is not really valued, and it doesn't matter too much. So that's why I think Aluna overall will still be up in S tier potential with how you can play the character, probably like the highest A tier, but with however you play this character and being able to save the S plus character, I feel like Aluna's kit makes it easier for also the higher tier characters, hunters on the list to be able to do their thing. Now, Oath is a cute little fella. Oath is a bit of an awkward spot. I feel like Oath is in a struggling position. He did get some small changes. I do not think that it will help him too much, and it does sound like a lot of the Oath mains are struggling at the moment. There will be certain players that are really, really good on this character, which can make him look good. But if you look at how easy it is to get into Oath compared to other hunters, it is very struggling, also because of the fact that he's a melee character. It is hard to get the value out of the stun and knockback into the walls, but he might need some more little help to get him in a comfortable position in the meta. Seth as well is a character that I haven't seen too much of. It's not a very popular character, but brings a decent value overall. I just do think that Aluna is the best protector overall. Seth probably like a high B tier with the value. He did get some quality of life changes, might even be A tier potential with his mobility and etc. changes. I don't know how they will do exactly, but at the moment, looking at him compared to the other characters, I would probably have him in B tier for now. So I hope this will help you guys getting introduced to the characters for this patch. I hope to see a lot of people on the roaring skies, in the mountains, on the lands, in the deserts, in the playtest, and I'll see you guys next time.